Yo, 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 I'm Ty Van.
And I'm Byron.
And this is another episode of He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper podcast. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We got a whole beat now.
You said the words out my mouth.
Got our whole intro music.
We in here.
Shout out to us. You know, he's the rapper, but I feel like I can rap right now.
Go ahead.
You know?
Okay.
Yo. Nah, I'm good. That's it. That's all I got.
I was going to hype him up with the ad-libs.
That's all I got, bro. So what's going on, man?
Hey, what is going on? I'm tired.
I feel like people like that first couple episodes, man.
Yeah, I can say the same. I was actually shocked. I didn't think it was going to get the traction that they got. Not saying they got much, but it got enough for me.
Yeah.
So thank God for that.
Yo, real quick, let me just say this.
What's up?
He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper podcast, and we get 2 episodes about rappers.
Right. Like there's no pastor at all.
There's no pastor in this whole podcast.
So what happened is I pitched it to him like that so he could say yes, but this is really all about me. That's really what it's about.
He's the rapper, I'm the co-rapper podcast.
That's what it is, though. So we're going to change it on all platforms.
But today, I think we will talk a little bit about the church.
Well, go ahead. Get me right. What we talking about?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking earlier about the church and all that pertains to the church and what makes the church great and what is hard about the church and the fact that people are leaving the church.
You think people really leaving the church?
I do think people are leaving the church.
Like,
honestly,
outside of the African American community,
I think people in general are leaving the church. I mean, it's kind of weird though, because like I think in faith circles, people are always thinking about people who are leaving the faith, or leaving the church, leaving the faith. I would say those are maybe not synonymous. So maybe I'll tease that out. But I think pastors and leaders are always thinking about people leaving the church. But it just seems like with social media, with online media, you see more of it. You know, like TikTok people who are talking about leaving the church, and YouTube people and podcast people were talking about leaving the church. So yeah, I think people are leaving the church.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's kind of opened my eyes because I was only seeing it from one lens, just from, like I said, the African American community. But
yeah,
I didn't think of it outside of that, so shame on me,
bro. So when people actually, like, literally, like, just leave the church, where do you think they just go to another church?
Yes. No. I don't, man. No. I don't know. I feel it's a yes and no. Like, it depends on why you left the church. I guess if it's church hurt, like you got hurt by someone at the church or some situations happened at a particular church, then yes, I guess you would go to another church.
Yeah.
But I guess if something happened that you feel like I can't rock with this faith anymore, then I don't think they're going to another church.
So people leaving the church and people leaving the faith, how do you like correspond those things? Are those synonymous to you?
They are to me, because you to me you can't have church without faith. So that's
you can't have church without faith.
No, yeah.
And you can't have. Can you have faith without church?
Yes. Yes, you can.
All right, explain that to me.
Okay, so when I sat down on this couch, I didn't hesitate. I didn't thoroughly check if this couch was gonna.
Bro, about to give me the apologetic argument.
Oh, but I feel like you can have faith without church, but you need. Am I saying that right? You can have faith without. Yes, you can have faith without church, but to have a church, you need faith. You can't have church without faith.
I dig that. I mean, I definitely think you can have faith without a church. So biblical example, Ethiopian eunuch didn't have a church, right? But he had faith, and that's what got him saved. But I feel like at some point he started the church or he joined the church. He got with other believers that were helping him walk out the tenets of the faith. So I think it's a little unhealthy for a Christian to not have a church. You said that in like the last episode.
Wait, hold on, because I don't want to. First off, I agree with that, so I'm not backtracking on that. I'm just saying because I guess there's different definitions of faith pertaining to what we're talking about on this subject. You cannot have faith without the church if we're talking in a biblical sense. I was speaking on the broad, definition of faith. So let me just stick with this conversation. You cannot have faith without church.
Well, look, we went down a rabbit hole.
Hole.
What we were trying to get to is, what I was trying to get to was like a conversation about whether people are actually leaving the faith or they're just leaving the church. So like, maybe you can give some insight on this because you had a period where you kind of, walked away, where did you just walk away from a church or the church, the Big C church, or did you feel like you were walking away from the faith altogether?
All three. I walked away from my personal church, which was Living Water Cathedral at the time. I walked away from the big church. I didn't want anything to do with anyone that said they were associated with Christ. And for the most part, I walked away from my faith. I was still open to my faith, being impacted so I can walk this thing out. But for the most part, I walked away from all three.
Yeah. And I don't think I ever went through a period where I walked away from the faith once I was really saved, or the church once I was really saved. But I've seen a lot of people do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, correct. I've seen a lot of people who will walk away from a church, and I think in their mind and in their heart, they believe, well, no, I'm still a Christian. I'm still saved. And they may even think I'm still going to worship God. But then slowly but surely, they even kind of remove themselves from the worship of God. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people like on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter who are like, nah, I don't need church, the Big C church or the small C church, to be a Christian or to live my life out as a Christian. And that's like muddy waters. But
see that I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that stance. It's all good, man. But yeah, you walking away from the church because you feel like you just don't need it. You're better. I don't want to say better, but I can walk this thing out by myself. I don't need to go to a corporate church or have someone hold me accountable. I don't agree with that. That wasn't my reasoning. And not to put everything with me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That reason don't sit right with me at all.
Well, hey, I mean, I feel you. It doesn't sit right with me either. But I try to be more understanding, right? So I know everybody's situation is different. Everybody goes through different things. It's not one size fits all. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's a lot of stuff that comes behind that. So let me ask you a question. Matter of fact, we're going to go back and forth. It's going to be like ping pong. What are some reasons why you think people are leaving the church?
One, maybe politics. Actually, I don't want to say one. I think that is like number one. Yo, you got to hit it again. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Politics. Maybe two, you don't understand your faith. Like you were just doing it because that was something that you were just brought or raised into or reared into.
So maybe those people are people who are not yet saved. Like maybe they think they're saved and they're not yet saved. Is that what you're saying?
I that's what I would definitely say that what number two would be. And three, just life situations. Like you were going to church with your parents and then you went off to college or something like that, and then you don't know anyone at this say you go off to college in another state, you don't know anyone here and you don't really feel comfortable church hopping. You really let your church home back home, so it's like I'll go when I go back home, but when I'm at college I'm gonna just live streaming or I just catch a Bible study here and there.
I feel that completely. I feel like the ones that I've seen are like church hurt. That's a big one. Like people are leaving because they're hurt. Whether that's a church hurt because of something that was egregiously somebody at that church's fault, or maybe it was some level of misunderstanding. Church hurt is real. I've seen people leave, like you said, for the politics aspect. And then, man, the racial tensions, bro.
Yeah, how did I forget that?
Come on, the racial tensions. Like, I feel like with all the racial tensions, with all the, people getting killed, all of the people, all of the all lives matter, Black Lives Matter, stuff that's ripped people apart. And as much as we don't want to realize it or maybe accept it, like, people are actually walking out of the doors of churches because they don't feel like they matter. Shout out to Black Lives Matter to God. We don't support the organization, but we do believe in the sentiment that Black Lives matter to God and they should matter to you.
I don't want to run over that, please. All right, so it is. I don't care when most people are saying Black Lives Matter. For the most part, we're talking about the actual lives of Black people, not the organization. I do not agree with the organization at all, but I'm still going to scream Black Lives Matter because I'm a Black life and my life matters to God, as Byron Shirt says. So please, will y'all hear that? Because I've had many of back and forth with people, and it's like when they say that, they automatically go towards the organization. I don't even stand with what the organization stands for, but the saying about a Black Lives Matter, that matters to me, and if you're a Christian, it should matter to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost kind of egregious to go against the sentiment that Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know you probably seen the meme where it's like it relates the all lives matter thing to all sheep matter. Like, Jesus is going to find the one sheep, or he the one that went away, the one that strays away. Jesus leaves the 99 to go get the one. And imagine all the 99 saying, but all sheep matter. Like, that's what it's like when dealing with this type of subject, because we know all sheep matter to God, right?
Correct.
But it's the one that's gone that God is relentlessly running after.
Come on, okay. Okay.
Look, if you want to know why we're laughing, you can go to www.identitydaytona.org. I preached on that this morning. Thank you.
May 2nd, if you need to know the date. Okay.
But yeah, man, I mean, it's real, man. People are leaving because of race issues, and it's sad, man, because I think there are some of us who don't want to step up and admit that, hey, this is a thing. This is a barrier. This is a stumbling block for people. And we have to do a better job of acknowledging that stumbling block rather than saying, oh, race shouldn't be a problem. Like, it's all about your faith and just preach the gospel, but if that's what people are dealing with all of their lives in the time when they're away from Sunday morning worship gathering, then how are they going to walk past that stumbling block?
Right. And for the people, Christians, I can't speak for the Christians that say, I don't see race. That's insensitive. And for a faith being Christianity, we're supposed to be unified, multicultural, but unified, which means you can see that this person is different than you, but you can still love that person. So for you to say that you don't see color when someone is colored, it's very insensitive. I know you're trying to, seems like it's a loving gesture. It's not. It's really not.
Shout out to you, because I'm sure we're the only podcast still calling people coloreds at this point.
I actually got called a colored a few weeks back at my job, but we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. So here we go. Politics, race, church hurt. Maybe people weren't actually converted from the first place.
Right.
All of those are reasons why I think people and you think people are leaving the church. So, I think that bears a question that we got to address. What can the church do about that?
I feel like the church can be honest, and listen to people when they say that there's an issue. Don't just try to run past it, or if it's not your issue, it's not an issue at all. Yeah. Be honest, listen to people, and walk with people in their hurt, empathize with people, have compassion. I'm not saying that's going to solve everything, but it's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a great start, actually.
I agree with you. So you should be a pastor of the church. You got the right answers, man.
It's biblical based. It all comes from the Bible.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with you, bro. Take some time to listen. I think all of us have relatives. We got friends. We got Facebook friends who are letting us know how they feel about the church, you know, in some negative aspects, right?
Correct.
And sometimes we demonize those people without even listening to them. Like we say, well, like we're quick to be like, yo, he's sinning and that's why he's thinking that way, or they were never saved and that's why they're thinking that way. And those things still might be true, but that does not mean we shouldn't listen, because it could be something that God is doing in that person and using that person's eyes and mouth to show us something that we're blind to see.
Correct.
Right. So, you know, we got to start listening to people and we got to start taking those things seriously. But, you know, here at He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper podcast, we also like to point people to the word of God.
We do.
And you got to get into that word if you want to know how you dealing with, or how you should deal with some of these issues. I mean, the Bible says a lot about people who are hurt, right? Like, matter of fact, the Bible shows us that we're going to continually be hurt.
Oh, yes.
And it shows us how to care for each other in that hurt. Matter of fact, think about this, bro. New Testament, as the New Testament writers, specifically Paul, as he's writing to churches, much of what he's talking about is how to care for people who are in need and how to care for people who are hurting.
Correct.
Like, we spend a whole lot of time trying to feed the poor and you know, do all those things that are great, and we don't know how to love each other as the body of Christ. We don't know how to care for each other when we're hurting.
It just seems Christianity in America, we are so focused on works. Like, I need to do this to justify my faith. And again, like, I don't want to say there's nothing wrong with that. The heart behind that is good. I don't want to say pure. It's a good intent, but there's more than just you giving someone food when they're hungry, or giving them clothes that you don't even wear anymore and feeling like you're doing something. There's way more than that. So just please listen to this, and I challenge you to really try to live this thing out as Christ did. It's more than just, you know, feeding people and clothing them. Like, there's people out here that's hurt, that need your love and need you to walk with them and need you to listen to them. So please just start with that too.
Yeah. Bro, so you brought up a good observation earlier.
What's up?
When me and Ty were talking about this, he thought black people were the only people leaving the church.
Oh, yeah.
So
go ahead.
So you only think black people leaving the church? Or is that just what you see? Because that's what you're most connected to.
I think that's what it is, because I'm in the African American community a lot, and a lot of my friends have they don't want anything to do with Christianity. They were raised in that faith, but because, again, number one, I really feel like it's politics and the race is kind of like hand in hand, and they're seeing how America treats people of a different race, and because of your political party, how you treat people, these people are also saying that they're Christian. So it's like, I don't really want to rock with that if that's how Christians really are going to be. So it's like, yeah, I thought it was just African Americans leaving the faith. I didn't think it was outside of that.
Yeah. What do you think about, like, hypocrisy? We didn't bring that up, but that's one thing I hear a lot of, you know, people who are leaving the church talk about. Like, yo, the church is full of hypocrites. The pastor doing wrong and the deacon's doing wrong. And why would I go to a place where people just being hypocrites? Have you heard that?
All the time. I was one of the people spewing that out. Yeah. Like, I still kind of fight spewing that out. But yeah, I was definitely one of those people.
Yeah. We're all hypocrites though.
Yeah, that's what even myself. Like, just okay. What me and Byron talk about on this podcast is biblical. Like, the Bible is what we hold everything to. With that being said, that's the standard. So that's what we're always going to push. But that doesn't mean that we're always living what we're saying. And not in a hypocritical way. We're striving to do that through Christ, but we may not be walking it out as you would think. So have grace with us as well if you know us outside of this. Like, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't want y'all to be like, yo, he was saying all this on the podcast and he's not really like that. For the most part, I know me and Byron are really pushing to live this life like we say we want to live it according to Christ, but we may not always get it right. So.
Yeah, and I heard somebody say one time, we're all hypocrites. So if you want to hang out with a bunch of hypocrites, you can do that outside of the church or inside of the church. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to a bar and hang out with those people at the bar. The bar is full of hypocrites too. You know what I mean? It's just what place are you hanging out with them where they actually have hope for more?
There you go.
Like where they actually can be more than a hypocrite. And I think, you know, obviously y'all know we advocate for the church, so we don't even need to say that. But.
And if you're in the greater Volusia County area, and you need a church to go to, Identity Church, we host Zoom meetings 3 times a month, and we do in-person sessions once a month. Oh yeah! Every 4th Sunday.
Yo, I pay Ty to put drops in randomly during these podcasts. So hey, don't beat up on me. But I do pay him under the table for that. So yeah, man. Okay, I kind of skipped, scotched all over the place because I brought up the fact that you were asserting that Black Christians are the ones leaving the faith, but actually, like, I think the statistics show that white Christians are leaving the faith faster than Black Christians are.
Now, hold up, really?
That's what I
learn me something right now.
Well, hey, there's a Barna study. I'm gonna try to get it to Ty. Maybe he could put it in the show notes, or I feel like a real podcaster. The show notes.
Just to let you know, the first 2 episodes I did not put the show notes.
No worries, we don't need that.
We'll talk about that. But go ahead.
but there was an article that came out, I think it was last year, 2020, about how Black Christians were the most likely to stay in the faith of all ethnicities, and white Christians were actually the most likely to walk away from the faith. So even if you think about the nations that have like gone abundantly non-Christian, it's nations like Spain that's full of, you know, technically white people, or Europe that's full of technically white people who are slowly but surely walking away from the faith. Now, I'm not saying that to like pick on white people. Like I would pray that they would have a revival and be able to stay in the faith.
Correct.
You know, but I think statistics show that more of them are leaving the faith. Now, however, you got to think about it like this. There are more white Christians than there are of any other race too. So as more people are leaving, obviously there are going to be more of them than it would be of us. But I think in the last few years, we've just seen a popularity in Black Christians leaving the faith. It's cool to leave Christianity now.
Yeah.
50 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you know, when we were like jits, like, it wasn't cool to like not show up to church. Like, you seen bro who wasn't going to church, you be like, yo, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, where you at? But now it's kind of cool to not go to church, you know. And I think it's because there are so many other like African spirituality things we can connect ourselves to, or the pride in our ethnicity pushes us to, you know, be independent of all things white, you know what I'm saying? So that would relate to his Christianity, white man's religion, all that, you know.
Wait, even with that being said, guys, if someone comes to you and says Christianity is a white man's religion, Christianity started way before America even existed. So for someone to come to you and say that Christianity is a white man's religion, that's a byproduct of white supremacy in it. So, because you're saying that Christianity is only in this scheme of America, and this is the religion they gave to us when they colonized us. It started way before that. So just that, I know that was one seed that was planted in my head when I left. It was like, it's a white man's religion. I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not. It's again, Christianity started way before America was even thought of. So
yeah. Now I will have to say, you know, play. I won't say devil's advocate. Maybe I need to be Judas's advocate or something. I don't know. But like,
wow.
Like I will play the other side for a second, because I do think there are a lot of parts of Christianity that have been misused by a certain group of people, and they've been fed to Black Christians So it is kind of hard differentiating that from other things. And that's why I respect guys like Vince Bantu, who's like empowering Christians to like dig into the African roots of Christianity. He does a lot with the Ethiopian church and the I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Insert clip. But he does a lot to expose people to the fact that Christianity is not a white man's religion. And if you have a problem with those things in the faith, don't walk away from the faith, walk away from those things, right? So like I've seen people leave the church and they say, I'm decolonizing my faith. Well, that's cool. But some of the earliest African people went to church. Like they weren't just like not doing church. Like they were worshiping together weekly and regularly. So it's one thing to kind of decolonize your faith or walk away from the church because you want to put more emphasis on your ethnicity. It's a whole nother thing to like take it so far where you're not even exercising in the way that your African ancestors would.
Correct.
Because like the African ancestors that were Christian, guess what? They was worshiping. They was going to church. Somebody preaching the message. You know what I'm saying? So, hey man, that's
to that sentiment, I agree. Like it, I can see how it can look like a white man's religion, but just because a group of people have misused it doesn't mean that the whole faith or religion is wrong. So that's all. Just do your research outside of what you know, and use your questions to guide you back to the faith. Like don't feel crazy that you have questions and you don't understand it. I think those are those are signs that there's something there, and that could lead you to it has the potential to lead you to a good place if you let it. It's just the energy that you put behind it. If you have those questions and it's just like Christianity is a white man's religion and you don't want to do any further research, that energy that you put behind that could take you to a negative place. But if you use those questions and use that energy to further your faith and strengthen your faith, it could be a great thing. So
yeah, I agree with you completely, and I feel like we did exactly what we said we weren't going to do. We segmented all of this topic to black people. So hey man, look, but before we stop talking about black people, let me give you some resources, just because hey, Ty and I have had this conversation a few times over the years, and even when he was in a position where he walked away from the church, I tried to give him some resources I thought would be helpful. He then later told me he did not read those resources, but I still gave them to him. But one of the ones was, man, Ty did do this. He went to an event at Bethune-Cookman's campus that was done by Jude 3 Project. Shout out to Jude 3, Lisa Fields, Cameron Triggs, all of the people who were involved, Yara. And they recently put out a curriculum. It's called 3 Eyes of Color. And this is an awesome curriculum. It goes through all of that stuff we just talked about. And the big basis is, hey, you can separate yourself from some of the toxic parts of what the faith has produced or what the church has produced away from Jesus, but don't remove yourself from Jesus, right? And then one of the guys who was there, his name was Vince Bantu, and this brother is brilliant. He wrote this book right here. It's called Multitude of Peoples. This is an outstanding book. I think everybody should get this book. It's a little thick now, but if you want to learn something, you should get it. And then last but not least, I'm gonna throw the tie on our way out. This resource just came out. It's called Urban Apologetics. It's a compilation, but it's like a mixtape for urban apologetics, and anything and everything you have a question about, whether it pertains to ethnocentric religions or mishandling of the faith from the white Christians, it's in that book. So go get those resources. It will empower you. Even if you're not a part of a church right now, read those because they'll help you, man.
And before we take it out, there's one thing I want to say, since we're staying on black Christians. There's a lot going on with Asians right now. And I've seen some things on social media where it's like the Asians weren't standing with us while we were going throughout things. So why should we stand with them? I can't speak for all black people, but if you're a black person or African American and your faith is Christian, I just want to challenge you that way of thinking, if you are thinking like that, is not Christian. And I encourage you to get to your Bible and stand with people, because in injustice, I don't want to slaughter. What is it, man?
An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
There we go, because I was going to slaughter that thing. And
that's Rick James. That's a Rick James quote.
That's Martin Luther King. Well, all jokes aside, seriously, like, if you're a black Christian, I challenge that thought. If you're thinking like that, that's an injustice what these people are going through. Stand with them.
Yeah. I agree tenfold. Hey, just to wrap up our podcast, let's answer the question: why are people leaving the church?
Multifaceted reasons.
Politics, racism, but ultimately people are leaving the church because they are being pulled away, and there's a threat from the enemy. The enemy does not want the church to stand. So if he can insert seeds of division, he's going to do that, whether it's through politics, race, church hurt, all of those things. So that's it.
So if you like this podcast or you like the content that we're putting out, please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube page, which is He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper podcast. Again, I'm Ty Van, aka Teddy Crucifix, aka your pastor's favorite rapper.
And I'm his pastor. So my name is Byron. I am just happy to be able to be on this pod. You can follow me at Byron L Cogdell on everything. You can also follow IdentityDaytona.org or Identity Daytona on all social media platforms. Check us out. Can I also plug my other podcast?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I got another podcast. It's called Tell the Story Doc. It's a podcast about what it means to plant a church right here in Daytona Beach. And then the next season, we're going to have some surprises. Todd probably going to be on there.
Oh, you feel me? And you can follow me on everything at I am Ty Van. You can also follow the hip hop collective that I'm a part of. It's at Crew, the number 4, Jesus, all one word. Thank you for watching. That was good.